to the Gamers Roundtable show, where we are gamers talking about video games. I myself am Leafx, host of the show here. We're going to go talk about what we've been playing this week. Then we're going to get into some news pieces. We would love to hear from you guys what you think about these news pieces. And after that, we got our topic of the day. Which on the overlay is a little broken. I'm going to fix it up for you guys so you can see it. But our topic of the day is our top 3 favorite indie games. Now, for me, I know this changes all the time, just because there's quite a plethora of good games out there. Maybe one day I'll play one more than the other, and it suddenly jumps to the top of my list. We'll find out from everyone what theirs are, and from the viewers as well too. If you can let us know once we get to that point what your favorite indie games are. But we're going to first go over all the wonderful voices in this chat right now, and see who's with us today. So first and foremost, honoring us with his presence, we have the President of Canada up there. Hello, Mr. President of Canada.
Oh, I'm first this week. Good.
The way it should be.
The way it should be.
It's not children and ladies first. It's the President of Canada first.
Podcast is over. I have spoken.
And right underneath him, you can see on our little overlay there, we got Mr. Batman himself. Hello, Mr. Batman.
Welcome to the jam.
And beside him, we have Mr. Charles himself. Hello, Charles. Thanks for coming out.
Hello, everyone.
And actually, if you were with us last episode, unfortunately, it did not get archived. That is my bad. I'm a terrible human being. But Mr. Eric up top is away, as she usually is. And he's probably going to come back and surprise us later. At 8 o'clock, he should be joining us and saying hello. So we'll say hello once he comes in. But first and foremost, we're going to go by everyone and see if they've found any new games this week, anything interesting, and see if we found any cool stuff that maybe we could enjoy ourselves. So, Mr. Charles, we'll start with you. What have you been playing this week? Anything new and interesting?
New and interesting? Well, Compendium got an update, and now there's the 10 Hero Challenge in Dota, so I'm doing that. Yeah, Dota. Thanks, Adam. Thanks for the cue. So, yeah, I've been trying to plow through that challenge. It's a lot more difficult than I had originally expected. And other than that, I haven't had much time to grammar.
Sorry,
Wow.
What is the Compendium at this moment?
Oh, the Compendium's, the total prize pool is 8.4 million.
8.4 million now already.
That's for the international. So they'll probably easily get to their goal of 15 mil, but I estimate they'll surpass that quite handily.
Yeah,
they still have 80 days or something like that.
Yeah, they still have a long time to get to that, and they hit 12 last year, and it's always gone up every year, right? So I think we'll definitely surpass 12 mil. On this one for sure.
Easy.
And so you're mentioning there's something that you guys get at a certain thing there that you were excited about.
The Compendium adds a bunch of challenges. A lot of it is related to the international and making predictions and watching games and stuff, and you get rewarded for that. But they also have little challenges, like in this case, the 10 Hero Challenge, where you just roll 10 random heroes, and you have to win a game with each hero, and then you get a reward. And they let you do that 3 times. So that's really
true.
Interesting. It allows you to learn new people and take advantage of other people who are trying to learn new people.
Fair enough. We got acknowledgements. Hello, acknowledgements for rejoining us again this week. We got some League Dota hate going on in there, so I'll leave you guys to that. And get some rabbling going on. We're gonna jump over to Batman and see what Batman's been enjoying this week. What have you been playing this week?
I actually just recently loaded up Infamous again, just because I felt like I had my PS3 finally hooked up to a TV, and I decided to play it, and that game is a lot of fun. The combat, I find, is very much like Devil May Cry, where you're pretty creative with what you do a lot of the time, and the parkour stuff's fun too.
Which one, sir?
This is Infamous 1. I played Infamous 1 and 2. I tried Second Son and don't like it, but I don't have a PS4 either, so it doesn't really matter. I haven't played through the whole thing.
Fair enough. I found I think one and Second Son were probably my favorites.
Really, Infamous 2 was my favorite.
I think it was good too. I don't know, I think it's just maybe nostalgia behind one, but
Maybe.
nostalgia on a game. It was how many years old? Not that
Yeah.
old. Yeah, no, Second Son, I really enjoyed it. I liked the. I think they jumped their production level up quite a chunk. On
They
Second
did.
Son.
I mostly just
Yeah.
felt
Batman!
that even I have also been playing Batman Arkham City, to be stereotypical for a second, to really show my character. With Second Son, I just kind of thought that the story felt even more silly than the other ones did, because it's like the evil things that you do. It's like, why would he do that? He's like portrayed as a nice character who is forced to do evil things to sort of incorporate that moral system or whatever. I thought that was kind of silly, but the combat was cool. I missed the electricity, but
Yeah,
maybe if I get a PS4, I might play through it.
Video, man. If you haven't got to video, because that's one of the last powers you get. Video is by far the best power in that game. Once you get that, you're gonna be like, oh, yeah, this is amazing.
See, I could not play much of Infamous 1 because I was playing some PC games at the time, and I was playing some 360 games, and the 360 had one little advantage, which was built-in 2 times MSAA for every game, which is nothing, but it's something, a little bit. So you go to Infamous, and that game is the jaggiest game of that generation.
Very true. Very,
Like,
very true.
If you come from any PC game on any hardware that was like mid-tier at the time, it was unplayable almost. But nowadays you can just
Yeah.
sort of overlook that. But back then it was like
It's like it's one of those games that like it looks pretty good when you're just standing there. That's what I like to say about it.
yeah.
Infamous 2 improved on that like an insane amount.
Yes, it did.
And then
Over the first one.
and then you look at Second Son. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, Second Son is gorgeous.
Second Son pulls some bullshit where you if you use the photo viewer, it just applies a fuck ton of post processing that you can't actually get during gameplay.
Well, they added different filters. Time of days, kind of, but filters to the gameplay. When you're in game, you can change essentially filters over top. Like I can go from heroic to sunset.
No, I'm talking like fucking like anti-aliasing, extended particle effects, stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Texture quality,
In screenshots, yeah.
yeah, they dramatically improve the scene when you take a screenshot, which is cool if you want a good-looking screenshot. It's just the promotional material for the game used that level of rendering.
I mean, I have played it and it still looks good, but
Yeah, it
yeah,
still
that's
looks pretty
definitely
good.
true.
Still looks pretty good.
But I kind of want to go back and play it again. I think I'm almost done through the evil side now.
Did you play the DLC?
No, wait, I did go through the evil side. No,
That was like free on PS Plus. You should probably have it.
I did get it. I just haven't played it because there was other game. I forget what it was, but there's other games coming out
There you
at
go.
the same time.
Now you have something to play.
That's true. I actually forgot about that. Gotta grab my second. Sorry, actually, it was my first PS4. It's at the guild at the moment, so I can't. First world problems.
You should give me one of yours, Brody. I need one.
No, I need two.
Ugh, it's bullshit.
All right, so we're gonna jump up to Mr. President. What have you been playing this week?
Hold on, I have a very important link to share. This reflects what you sound like when you say my second PS4.
All right, I'm gonna pop this link up for the viewers to see that. See what he's talking about. 3P. Yeah, okay, yeah. I kind of figured it.
You know he made a sequel to that called 9 PS3s, right?
Yep, I have 3 PS3s. I have one in my bathroom. Yeah, I remember. And then he had them everywhere.
Yeah. So last week I forgot to say I finished off Shovel Knight. That's pretty good. Pretty good game. Yacht Club Games, good developer.
Have they done? What else have they done?
I don't know if Yacht Club did anything else. They're working on something now. They were a spin-off of developers that left Way Forward, which also do pretty good games. They unfortunately, Way Forward, their like latest entrant was Tom Hewlett from Konami, so I don't know if he's affected things there negatively. But anyways, so yeah, finished Shovel Knight. Good game, fun game. Built for speedrunning, actually. Every area can be speedrun if you do it perfectly. Then I played through Freedom Planet, which is pretty good. Finished that off. Abysmal voice acting, but like it's to be expected from a game that's trying to be a spiritual successor to Sonic games. And gameplay-wise, it does a pretty good job.
What was Freedom Planet? That sounds like exactly a game that you would play.
It's a 2D. It's a successor to 2D Sonic games,
Okay.
and it's just some indie game coming to Wii U now, but it's on PC basically.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got some physics problems, but for the most part, it's pretty good. The levels are really well designed. Good 2D sprite art everywhere. Good combat, so on and so forth. And other than that, went to Toriyukin, played in a few games, got DQ'd from a couple of them. That's how it goes. Got a Ric Flair shirt, and that's the weekend.
That sounds like a pretty eventful weekend, actually. Yeah, EGL was a good convention. Happened in Toronto. Enthusiast Gaming Live, for anyone who wants to check it out. There's a good like 15 to 20 games there, I think, competitive games. It was a good time. I think they're doing another one in November, so if people want to keep an eye out for that. They're going more for the convention side of things, I think, in November. More vendors, more stuff like that, more entertainment. So it'll be. I think it's something big on the rise. It was a good first event for sure. And then for myself, yeah, I've same thing. I was out at TGL. Didn't get to play too much, just practice some melee there. But it was fun watching all the other games and all these games put together in one spot in this open area. You could hear cheers from something happening over in the FGC, and then you hear some hype going on over in the Smash section, and it was good. But as for playing, yeah, I didn't get to play much. Busy week, for sure. So I think with that, we'll jump onto some news here. Just a quick one. I got the video playing. You guys aren't going to see it. I don't know if you've seen it already, but Doom. There's going to be a new Doom announced at E3 this year. The only thing they really said was Bethesda's going to be showing it at June 14th, 7 p.m. Pacific time. So pay attention to that if you want to see a new Doom announcement. So yeah, the worldwide gameplay trailer. Gameplay probably going to be in quotes. But one thing they showed in the teaser was a double-barreled shotgun firing at a monster coming at you with looks like a couple miniguns strapped to his back. So that's going to be pretty freaking terrifying. But I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, June 14th again at E3, which hopefully I'm going to be going to this year. That's I'm really hoping for that. That's going to be sweet.
I can simulate Doom for us. Hold on a second.
Eric did that last week.
That's Doom 4 or Doom 3. Don't do this. Ah, fuck's sakes.
He's doing it.
That's one game. One game. Wow, it's dark there, though.
Oh, we lost your mic.
Maybe that's part of the joke.
Yeah. Charles,
So edgy.
Charles, you're muted. Oops.
Oh, I am. Wow.
Too edgy for me.
Maximum.
Too edgy for me.
Now all they have to do is just figure out that you could actually strap a flashlight to a gun,
They had that
still
in
use
the-
it.
They had that patched into the original game and in the first DLC / expansion pack for Doom.
The original game, like the one from on the Super Nintendo, they
Doom 3.
can patch that.
Doom 3.
Yeah, we've invented technology where we can patch Super Nintendo games.
I mean, you can if you're resourceful enough.
They should really patch Bubsy. That game needs a couple patches.
What, PC? Or, sorry, PS1? Yeah. Bubsy 3D?
No, I'm talking the one on the Super Nintendo.
Oh, was it
But
that?
all of them could use some patches.
let's leave bad Sonic clones where they lie.
You know what game needs patching for sure, though? Definitely broken if we're going to talk about old school games getting patched. Melee. That game is broken.
Oh yeah.
Next
game's so
week's
broken.
topic: games that need patching.
There we go.
What is that? What is that dust scooting bullshit everyone does?
Wave cheating.
They need
Wave
to, like,
cheating?
patch MOBAs to not be played.
They need to patch MOBAs and make them unplayable.
No, like, it just
So,
removes the
Dota.
game. Like, literally off the hard drive, deban the world, just gone. Just fucking gone.
Dude, do you know how balanced Twitch would be if there was no League of Legends or Dota?
What?
Man, Acknowledgements is about to hear this and, like, freak and leave. It's great.
He's going to come to our houses and punch us. I will murder you.
He
in
will
your
murder
sleep.
us in our sleep.
There it is.
At least we're acknowledging him.
Yeah.
Don't worry, MOBA's already tried.
Oh, that's funny.
Sorry, go on.
So the next bit of news, I don't know if anybody in here has played Civ Beyond Earth yet, but I guess the new expansion or patch, whatever, Rising Tide has come out. Just a couple of features. I'll list them off. I don't play it, so it doesn't affect me too much. I know, Braden, you said you played some Civ games.
I played 5, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, colonize the ocean. You can build floating settlements out in the ocean. Dynamic leader traits. Players and AI leaders alike unlock new traits through gameplay and activate different combinations. New enhanced diplomatic options. New sponsors. 4 new factions have been added. New artifact system. Collect and combine powerful relics. And new hybrid units. And new biomes. 2 new world biomes have been added. Primordial worlds are rife in volcanic activity and chaotic landscape of a world still forming. That sounds pretty scary. So that's sorry. When is that? Release date? Sorry, is autumn 2015. So just a couple months away this year. Now this one's kind of cool. Back to E3. A lot of E3 news is going to start popping up in the next obviously couple weeks as E3.
We should probably do an E3 special.
Yeah, oh for sure, 100%. We'll do I think what we'll do is just a pre-E3 kind of predictions, what we think to see, and then afterwards a recap.
Yeah.
And go over what actually happened. So Nintendo actually announced their World Champion Tournament.
Bill Trinan is fucked.
Oh, yeah.
Is,
I forgot about that.
is coming back, yeah, at E3 2015. Yeah, if you watch the promotional trailer for that, yeah, I think Bill Trinan ends up getting fired.
Fucking Triforce Johnson claiming credit for that, and he might actually have credit for that. It's the worst thing in the world.
What, the tournament?
No, Triforce Johnson. If you just look up his name, you'll know immediately. He owns or runs Empire Arcadia, the fucking esports team that isn't actually one anymore, really. Like, it's an embarrassment. But he, like, claimed credit for bringing back NWC. Because, like, last year he tweeted Nintendo World Championships 2015, they're coming, or something like that.
Well, just knowing something doesn't mean you made it happen.
Well, he said back then he was working to make it happen. I'm just... I would be shocked that he actually managed to succeed at something for once.
True. Oh, it's a picture with him with Mewtwo King and PPMD here.
You should probably look up the drama that happened there. It's
Yeah,
pretty-
I'll take a look at that. But I think it'll be
Let's
interesting.
say they aren't friends anymore.
Who?
M2K and Triforce Johnson.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, anyways, this tournament, I guess they're going to have a bunch of booths around Best Buy, around North America, that you'll be able to participate in special qualification tournaments that will enter you into the main tournament at E3.
Did they announce the
kind of
games yet?
qualifiers. No, as far as I can see, they have not.
Like, there's no way it is like Smash Brothers.
Oh.
It would have to be
No,
something
no.
else.
Well, Smash will be included, 100%. It can't not be.
it seems too already a thing. Like I would expect like Mario 3D World's like best time tournament and shit like that.
Yeah, well, in the '90s one was I see a couple lists here: Super Mario, Rad Racer, and Tetris. Um, I don't know what games would you would hope to see there.
Doom 4.
Doom 4, Nintendo's. That's all it is too. So there's no other games.
Zelda the fighting. Just make a Zelda fighting game.
Actually, yeah, can we get Zelda Skyward Sword in the first, and you're actually just playing until you can glitch out into the next game? Can that be it?
They should do speed runs. So you have to speed run it, the entire game.
Dude, if they had like speedrunning Mario 64 tournament,
Oh, I
think-
know what it could be. The easiest thing they could do is like a version of NES Remix that was like top points or lowest time or something.
I guess.
But like
Yeah,
maybe with
that
Wii
would-
U games or something.
Another interesting thing, the gold cartridges that that players that participated in the NWC got are now actually, what are they worth now? We're looking at the loose price is $26,677 for this gold cartridge.
Yeah, the grays are like between 3 and 11K.
Yeah, and well, for some reason there was a new price listed for them at $114.
Someone fucking around on eBay.
Yeah,
Well,
that's true.
Repro cards, possibly repro cards.
Yeah, true. But
And you know the most important part of this news, right?
esports.
No, the most important part is that we could get a sequel to the greatest movie ever made.
It's true. It's true.
What was it? It was inspired by The Wizard. Is that what you're referencing?
It's literally we could get a sequel to The Wizard. That's all that matters.
I actually haven't seen The Wizard, so is that something I should add to my to-do list?
So the podcast is over now.
As I go watch The Wizard.
Roll credits.
Hand in your human card and leave.
That's amazing.
I'm surprised you're not taking our citizenships away.
I guess
His human card. He is no longer human. Can't be a citizen without being a human.
Is he a wizard?
Fuck no.
Give me something at least.
I mean, if he can't see the wizard, then maybe he is the wizard.
You're right, CH Rules. High Res is fucking sketchy. All their games are fucking sketchy.
He just moves on. All right, so we're gonna move.
That's me, by the way.
Fucking sketchy, man.
One thing I want to talk about here. So I'm a big advocate for VR, and anyways, Oculus just put out a blog post for powering the Rift. They announced their official specifications for powering the Rift, and the whole first part of the article is them talking about just basically starting to prepare you for what you're going to need. They're saying, we have, a traditional 1080p game, 60 hertz requires 124 million shaded pixels per second. In contrast, Rift runs at 2160 by 1200 at 90 hertz, split over dual displays, consuming 233 million pixels per second. The whole thing starts with that. So they actually finally get to the specs. They actually put a TLDR because it's so long them trying to explain why it's going to be so big. But the actual specs, recommended specs, NVIDIA GTX 970 or an AMD 290 equivalent or greater, an Intel i5 4590 equivalent or greater, 8 gigabytes or more of RAM, and apart from the recommended specs, the Rift will require Windows 7 Service Pack 1 or newer, 2 USB 3.0 ports, and HDMI 1.3 video output supporting at 297 megahertz clock via a direct output architecture.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Yeah, so now I'm going to be interested to see how what the Vive, unless they already released their specs, but I don't think they did. But the Vive will need because those are very like at this point accessible, but not to the average user specs.
So to be clear, that's like running an average modern game at proper res and speed, right? Decent details, but something simpler, like something with lower texture quality, lower graphical fidelity, probably demands a lot less.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think like Skyrim versus Skyrim with maxed out mods and shit. There's a difference there, right?
And remember, this is I guess remember this is the recommended the recommended specs for it. It's not by any means the minimum.
Well, like yeah, you want to run full resolution so you don't get weird screen door bullshit, or in this case, stretching.
First comment on the article is just Mac hate.
Of course it is. The second problem is you need the frame rate, or else you get nausea. You get everything else that comes with bad VR.
Yeah.
So it's better, even if they're overshooting, it's better that they overshoot than undershoot by far.
On that point of nausea, though, that's not necessarily have to do with the graphical fidelity.
That has to do with frame rate, is what I'm saying.
Maybe part of it. Most of it has to do with the disconnect between your body actually moving and your brain thinking.
Yes, frame rate is a vast majority of that.
Yeah, frame rate is actually important. I think there was a viewing of, I think, some modern movie that was high graphics intensive, and this was in a theater, and they decided to do, I think it was 45 frames a second for viewing, and apparently it just made everyone sick. They just couldn't stand it.
Well,
So,
I get the frame rate.
That's a separate issue. That was the Hobbit movies, and
Yeah, the Hobbit movie.
Yeah, the
that
Hobbit
was
movies, yeah.
more what people were used to, and the fact that they did the high frame rate really poorly for that. There's articles on that I'm not going to go into, but they could have.
But yeah, if you've got poor frame rate again with VR, it's going to just be
No.
exacerbated.
But that issue was that they went double frame rate. Like normal movie frame rate is 24.
Yeah.
Yeah. In this case, if you have a lower frame rate, that's several more milliseconds per frame that you're seeing the same thing while you're moving your head, right? That's where you get the whole like disconnect coming from.
Well,
Like 90 is probably the bare minimum. 60 is for some people acceptable, but not for most, and 30 is like just not good enough for anyone.
Isn't your eye capable of viewing 72 frames a second?
Now, your eye is capable of viewing infinite frames per second.
Well, yes, but
Your brain is
processing it.
Processing. Your brain can pick out the difference, according to I think a U.S. Air Force study, of 1 in 200 if you're the average person, and 1 in 470 if you are a top-notch human being, i.e., Air Force pilot.
So that's
just saying
the
that,
frame rate.
That's just saying that there's a difference, but there's a meaningful difference.
Oh yeah, and processing everything. Yeah, I
But
suppose.
certainly 90 minimum, and I would say like 120 is what you want as your base minimum, but that's pretty demanding. The display tech for high-res tiny displays just isn't there yet.
well, back on I don't think the frame rate is the most to do with
Frame rate is one of the 3 central issues with VR.
Oh yeah, one, but it's not. I don't think it's the biggest. I think, as I said before, the biggest if you're in a VR setting and you're in free fall, your brain will start to think it's falling, but your body's not physically moving. And that was the only thing that ever caused any kind. Like I don't get motion sickness, and that was the only thing.
Tactile feedback's important.
Yeah,
tactile feedback is important. But head tracking and stuff, and frame rate and resolution are going to be much more readily apparent because you know going in that you're not going into a alternate world, right? Mm-hmm. Like if you're looking to fully simulate and fully trick your entire body into being in another world, then that's an entirely different set of problems from what they're trying to accomplish. But that comes after what they accomplish.
Yeah, I can see that being the first and foremost things they want to work at.
Yeah, right now it's like, let's make the best possible immersive experience that we can, then it's becoming like then it becomes the whole like your entire body experience and all that shit.
Mm-hmm. And I guess this is a first gen thing. I'm just trying to figure out the best approach. Do you think a better approach would have been a lower quality product that would be more adopted by the masses, or do you think it's only right now it's kind of still a niche product that mostly only gamers are going to know about? And then
Charles, I got this. You don't have to say anything. I got this. So I'm going to PC master race this. The glorious part about PC is that you can choose your settings. Mm-hmm. So those are recommended for if you want to play the latest game and also get this stuff. The trick is that you don't have to play at max settings in modern PC games. You can lower them. So the thing is, the only thing that's affecting like the graphical fidelity, the capabilities of their device affects their price. It doesn't affect who can use their device. If their display supports 4K, you can run a 1080p input source on that just fine, right?
True.
So that's not them. That's them trying to accomplish their goal. Consumers making their content fit into that paradigm is their own responsibility. Oculus's responsibilities in that regard have been reaching out to said developers and trying to help them integrate their APIs and so on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what? That makes sense, I guess.
Sorry for interrupting.
Oh no, that's fine. It answered the question. I guess it was, and again too on what I said. The target audience at the moment is, I guess gamers, like the people that know about this already. It's not going to be directed at the mass consumer at this point until it's Gen 1. It's the same thing with I guess any other device. You look at smartwatches even. Gen 1 was just to test the product and get it out and see. We'll see. Well,
it's the same with HD TVs, right? It's the same thing.
Yeah, no, it's true. And like costs for those are huge at the beginning, and then they start to drop. As the technology gets better, but also as it becomes more adopted.
Little known fact: Sony has had like full HMV displays. Like they're these big fuckers you put on your head.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And yeah, they've had those for many years now for home movie experiences.
Yeah, like what is it, 180 degree viewing or something like the thing. Like it's
and that was the extreme enthusiast market that they were targeting. And in this case, it's a company targeting something smaller, and it raises the question of whether Valve is trying to accelerate the push to mass market or whatever. I don't know.
I'm okay with that.
Ubiquity. Yeah, well, the fear Palmer Luckey always had was if you push out a product that isn't ready to the masses, then they won't want any
They'll
product.
reject it, that's true. In the future.
Like VR in the 90s.
Virtual Boy.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, that was
so
great concept, great idea, but it wasn't there yet.
Nintendo had a bit of revisionist history. They do this segment called Iwata Asks, and they were asked about the Virtual Boy, and he was like, "Oh, we actually meant this to be only a device for like enthusiasts, for rich people to have at parties and stuff." And it's like, no, you didn't. You fucked up.
You're backtracking.
Yeah. Batman, any thoughts on Oculus, by the way? I notice you've been quiet.
He's out saving the world.
I was. Sorry. I'm back now, though, don't worry. I actually don't really have much to say about Oculus. It looks cool, and I have been part of some discussions like talking about developing for it, which seems cool, too. It's complicated, but it looks cool.
Yeah, there's at EGL there was a guy, a developer actually, that was starting to develop games for it. He had actually attached. This was actually cool, and I want every. I think Valve has this at the Vive.
I said I missed this, by the way. I saw it and I forgot to come back to it.
Yeah, so Vive has this already built into it, but what this guy did is he took an Oculus Rift dev kit 2, the DK2, and he attached he had a camera for head tracking, and then he also had a Leap Motion infrared sensor on the front, so that when you put your hands in front of it, you could see your hands in the game. They were skeleton hands, but it's still, that was so cool having your hand. But yeah, this guy's kind of putting his entire development as his company behind VR, and he's really trying to push this to people. That's why he bought his own booth at this, to try to show people how cool it can be. It was just a simple demo. You close your fist and it makes a fireball, and you have to punch forward to shoot it. But it was cool to see a developer pushing so hard just to show people how cool it is. And once you try it, man, you're just like, oh, this is amazing. Just to push this, but so I'm hoping more developers will start doing that too. I think when it comes to VR, letting people try it is that instant decision making factor. Like, as soon as you try on a VR headset, everything. Have you tried one then, Adam? Before, have you tried a VR headset yet?
I have not tried one of the recent ones, and you know, this sounds like the kind of thing like a video game cafe could have to draw people in.
Yeah.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
More on that later. I think developers should be setting that up too. I think HTC and Valve should be having, maybe at Best Buy or something, just a demo booth set up where you can, where you can play with a Wii U or a PlayStation, but you can't play with any VR. And I think something like that needs to happen in the next few months before release, and that 100% will convince people to want one of these and to jump on board.
Store display kits would like really benefit this kind of stuff.
100%. That if it's to benefit any industry, it's VR. Because it's, as soon as you try something on like that, it's game over. Your money's out of your wallet.
Yo, Charles, you buy a Rift yet?
Nope.
Are you going to be getting? So show of hands here. I guess only one with video. We know, of course, that Mr. President's going to be on board for that. Braden, do you plan on buying any kind of VR in the next year? We have 2 major launches coming out.
In the next year, I can't say I'd be interested in purchasing. Do I want to try it? Absolutely, and it looks cool, but it's not something I think I'm ready to put money into.
Yeah,
I think mostly, I mean, maybe it's wrong of me to still distrust VR after like Virtual Boy.
That's like a terrible comparison.
It's like I don't know, man. Fads like this always, like, I invested in the PlayStation Move, and that was a piece of shit. Why did I do that? That was dumb.
Sorry.
My family got Kinect, and that was stupid too.
I think the difference, though, between something like Kinect or PlayStation Move and motion controls is motion controls was a fad. You got companies like Facebook dropping how many $1 billion on companies like Oculus Rift to push something like this forward. Like that's a big investment. Like and you look at Valve, HTC is jumping on. You got a bunch of companies. There's a company in Montreal, I've said before. There's a couple other VR sets too. Google have their Google Cardboard, right? Like they're, everyone's, a lot of big companies are putting into this. I think this is more than just a trend. It's something like this is the next generation of technology. Like this is the way a lot of things are going between augmented and virtual reality. Between those two, like this is the next step. It's the next cell phone.
Yeah, it's true, and that's a fair point too. It's mostly just me being paranoid after being younger, watching E3 and buying whatever thing seemed cool.
You haven't tried one on yet, is the problem.
No, that too. I have not.
Our original point. Charles, with these first 2, are you gonna plan on buying one Gen 1, or are you gonna wait for a Gen 2, or maybe give them a try and make your decision at that point?
I'm not all that into the VR scene. It's just too much. It's likely going to be at a price point that I'm not willing to spend, and it's not going to add that. While it does add a level of game immersiveness to the game, I don't really seek that much immersion. So
I don't know.
I actually have an interesting idea here. So I think something I saw a couple of devs toying with was what you could have is, say, the observer slash spectator mode of Dota. You would have that just be the screen for your VR, which is to say, you would be like an entity above the entire battlefield.
That's what I was
looking
actually
down.
about to say. Yeah.
That
Where-
would be really neat, but the amount of immersiveness that I require is not that high.
Oh, sure. It's more of a neat gimmick. Certainly not worth like.
Yeah, for
400 bucks,
spectating things,
but-
events like that, that would be spectacular.
How about something like this? Even in Control, with that leap motion, and that kind of gave me new ideas too. Is what if you're that same idea? You're above the field, you can see everything, and you can use your hands to, touch your character, click where you want them to go, and you can use your fingers to touch things on the screen.
So-
your overlay.
Funny thing, Brody, that sounds good until you do it for more than 5 minutes. Just
Your
like
hands in the air, yeah.
just like using a tablet screen to play RTS games. That sounds good until you actually do it.
Or you could have it so that again we're talking, we have full range of motion here. We can look around. You're looking as if it's the battlefield's on the wall in front of you, and you just look down where your keyboard is and or where it was, and you can see a bunch of your whole desktop is a bunch of commands. So you're not refined to. I mean, there's a lot of keys on your keyboard, but you have everything can have its own button essentially on your desktop. So your hands are rested the whole time, and you can do it. I don't know. I'm just throwing ways to fix that, but I do get if you have your hands in the air the whole time, that's gonna get tired.
Part of the balancing for things like MOBAs or RTS is the fact that you can only see a limited amount of the screen at any one point in time. If you change the amount of screen size that you can see, you're greatly changing
True.
how certain abilities interact.
Well, you can still have Fog of War.
Well, yeah, you'd still have the fog of war, but say I'm halfway down lane and I don't know what's going on at the top of the lane, and there's some sort of skirmish going on, I could throw something out there if I could just see a plain line of sight and see everything. But in order to do that, some long-range abilities would become too powerful, because then you would be able to throw whatever down the lane because you can see it, instead of having to
I feel like that's where team
plan out.
communications come in, right? That's
well,
our-
even then, like, team communication's only so good. Like, if you want to throw an ability but it's blocked by, say, a minion of some sort, if you can see the entire length of the lane, then you know that ability is not blocked at any one point in time. But to micro your field of view up and down the lane, it makes the ability much harder to throw.
Mm-hmm. I guess I think there's some cool applications. Some sort of RTS. I guess what was it? What game was that? That was actually an RTS that was fully usable on the Microsoft Surface, like their big table. It was actually like a full length desk, but it was a big screen, and you could play RTSs on that. I forget what that was now, but something like that in VR could, I think, if done right and balanced right, based around
The idea of VR.
the idea of VR, I think could be good. Right. I think we lost Brayden. I'm gonna try to get back in the call here, but
Sorry, he said he was leaving.
oh, it is 8 o'clock. He had to leave. Yeah, so we should have Eric hopefully joining us again soon. My last couple of news pieces here have to do with Konami, so it should be fun. But
I called it.
you did call it. So Konami, you can see the article on Ars Technica is the one I'm looking at here. But Konami officially shifts from consoles to mobile gaming as its main platform. I'll just kind of read excerpts here for you two, just because you can't see the screen. But so the information comes from a NeoGAF translation of a Japanese interview with Konami president Hideki. I'm going to say it wrong. Hayakawa. Which seems to line up with a machine translation of the original Nikkei Trendy net piece. So basically, he says that they will pursue mobile games aggressively, and that gaming has spread to a number of platforms, but at the end of the day, the platform that is always closest to us is mobile. Mobile is where the future of gaming lies. So he continues to say, we hope that our overseas games, such as Metal Gear Solid and Winning Eleven, continue to do well, but we are always thinking about how to push our franchises into mobile there too. With multi-platform games, there's really no point in dividing the market into categories anymore. Mobile will take on the new role of linking the general public to the gaming world. And then he continues to go on and say they will be strongly pursuing a pay-as-you-play model, like the ones that they've seen success with Winning Eleven and Power Pro Sports Series. Our games must move from selling things like items to selling things like features. So that's Konami's now stance, I guess, on what they're going to be doing. I feel like it'll be successful, but they're going to become kind of an EA in the gamers' eyes. It sounds like. Adam, I know you called this. Do you have any thoughts on? Did they say anything besides what you thought would happen, or is this pretty much in line with your vision of what they were going to say?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, they're going where they think the money is, and they're salting the earth behind them.
Yeah, and it by the sounds of it too, they hope to even push, find out how to take something like MGS and move it to mobile as well.
Yeah, it's not hard. There's many things you can do.
Mm-hmm. But it's, again, as you said, salting the earth is, we'll potentially be losing the big releases, like Metal Gear Solid 5 as a a AAA title.
Well, that's still releasing because they're so far.
That one is, yeah, that one is. But I'm saying in the future, are we going to see anything else, or is it just going to be strictly on mobile? And that series, to a hardcore gamer or a lover of the franchise, that game essentially be dead at that point.
The fact that they shit-can Silent Hills kind of suggests that they're leaving the console space entirely.
Mm-hmm. So, play MGS5 with as much love as you can, because I have a feeling that could be the last thing you'll see as a major release in that franchise. But yeah, on the Silent Hills thing, Del Toro is speaking out how sad and disappointed he is with this. He explains kind of what he wanted to do with the new series, so you can just cry over what will never be. But what we wanted to do with the game, he says, and we were very much in agreement on this, him and Kojima, was to take the technology and make it as cutting edge as we could in creating terror in the house. The idea was very, very atmosphere drenched. But what made Silent Hills so great was that you had the atmosphere, but then you had a payoff with a very active, very intense series of moments. Wanted to do some stuff that I'm pretty sure, just in case it ever comes back, which honestly I would love for somebody to change their mind and we can do it, but is what he says. But in case it comes back, there was some stuff that was very new, and I wouldn't want to spoil it. So there's everyone was super stoked to work on the project, and he's not going to reveal some of the things they want to do in case it comes back. And as he says, I don't think it will, but it's disappointing to know they had a very ambitious project on their hands. Charles, any thoughts on Konami making this jump completely over to mobile?
Good riddance for somebody who abandons games and has a pay-as-you-play model. I don't know much. I haven't really played any Konami games, really, so this doesn't affect me very much. And since they're leaving console space to mobile space, that actually makes them closer to me, but I still don't really care.
Mm-hmm. I think the sour taste in the mouth is just
well, they canceled Silent Hills pretty much for no reason, and
They want out as soon as possible.
Yeah, they just
No,
want to
because
leave.
fuck Kojima. That's why. That's why they.
That too.
Yeah.
I'm betting there was like a very, very angry meeting, and some nasty words were thrown about in a language that sounds. I'm not going to go further on that.
But yeah, no, it makes sense that it's almost a spite, but it sucks. You know, that you know, a lot of people are going to be upset. I played a little bit of Metal Gear Solid. Tried playing some Silent Hill back in the day. I was always too scared. But that's good. Like they were good games, and I know there's a lot of people that are very loyal to those franchises. That'll be upset with this. It's just the pay as you play model, jumping into that whole thing. I get it. For the company, you're going to make money. They're guaranteed going to make money. But it's just the way they're just dropping literally everything is the sour taste in the mouth. For sure. But so yeah, again, one last taste. MGS 5, of course, will be the last kind of taste, I guess, from of real games from them. And PT. So if you still can, play that, and you haven't yet, play it before it goes away. I think December again is when that's being inactivated from your system. Even if you
purged.
Yes, even if you have it downloaded, it'll be no longer usable. Yeah, so that's it. That's it for my news. Konami now moving into mobile. I don't know if you guys had any other news pieces before we jumped into our topic of the day, which is our favorite indie games. Any other news pieces?
I already did mine.
There you go. So we're going to jump into our favorite indie games. We hope Eric comes back. I 100% think he's going to do that same thing he pulled last week. The sun's starting to set. We're going to be ready to leave, and his face is just going to appear oh so scarily. But we're going to be talking about our favorite indie games. Again, for me, this changes all the time. It was actually hard for me to even make a list this small. We should have done our top 20.
I'm going to break your list. Call of Duty does not count as an indie game.
What? It's designed for an individual to play. That's indie, right? No? So yeah, we our top indie games, I think, again, top 20 should have been what we did. But we're doing our top 3. So if you guys have favorite indie games in the Twitch chat there, let us know what they are. We're going to go through a list. Let us know as your third favorite indie game, and then we'll go down the list with us. So what's your third favorite indie game? And we're going to get Charles actually to start us off on this list while you guys post them in there too. If you played a lot of indie games. So Charles, start us off.
Okay, so this one always pains me because there's so many indie games, and if I just keep picking the same one every time, you guys are going to notice a pattern or something.
Dota does not count. Dota 2.
Yeah, Dota 2 doesn't count. Dota 1? But no, I didn't pick any of those.
Oh, wow.
I did not pick an RTS or MMO. Did I? No, I didn't. I didn't pick any MMOs or anything like that. Or MOBA. That's the one, MOBA. I forgot the genre, whatever. My number 3 that I picked was Waking Mars.
Waking Mars.
Yeah, because I played that a while ago, and I probably should finish it. I have this really bad habit of just not finishing games. But it was a really interesting sort of explorative, atmospheric sort of game. The puzzles were relatively simple, I found, though they did get a little bit more challenging. And I guess I haven't seen the entire story pan out, but it seemed to be more atmospheric and story related than anything else, which is really nice. StarCraft 1 is not an indie game. I don't think Blizzard counts as indie.
Blizzard. My favorite genre is video games.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, acknowledgements. I don't think you can pick StarCraft 1 as your favorite indie game. So yeah, this looks interesting. I got it for the viewers showing it here. Take a look. Side scroller kind of. The artwork is actually very interesting.
It's a definitions thing. Acknowledgements. It truly is.
Definements. But yeah, I guess Waking Mars. What is it on Steam? $11. Looks pretty interesting.
$11 Canadian.
I actually, yeah, that's true. I really like the art style, to be honest. It looks really interesting. It looks like you're just flying through the insides of monsters or weird, like.
You're in a cave system.
Okay, I see. Yeah, looks interesting for sure. I want to hear. Actually, I feel like the music on that would be really interesting. It looks like it would have good music. Go, so Waking Mars for your number 3 favorite indie game. Mr. President, what is your number 3 favorite indie game?
I go Cash Money called Skullgirl. Fun fighting game, yeah.
Skullgirls. Is that classified as an indie game?
Okay, so it's weird where it was like sort of published by Konami, but like developed entirely on its own in the first place. Like it's a very turgid development, and at this point, it's most definitely an indie game because the actual publisher side of things just completely fucking fell through. For the most part, though, Lab Zero built it independently, as far as that can be considered. Their own little thing in their own little corner of the world, such that eventually, for the DLC portion and continued development, it went full Kickstarter and all that.
Okay, so that's $17 on Steam there. But yeah, it's a 2D fighter. I've seen some gameplay of it before.
Yeah, nice, lovingly handcrafted sprites and all that stuff.
Lovingly handcrafted sprites.
Well, sprite, it's pushing the limit of like how you define sprite when it's just fully animated and you don't see pixels, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it is sprites, but it makes you think of something else when you hear the word.
Yeah, no, it's I just because the animation I guess that's true. It is. They are sprites. I'm watching it now, but yeah, 2D fighter. Is there any other fighter that it's more akin to, or does it have a lot of its own mechanics?
Marvel, Guilty Gear, Mike C and Alex A had designed it based off of their favorite fighting games, and it took them like a decade to get it made. So
that's true, and it's launched now for sure because I saw someone playing it. When did it launch?
Yes, it's like 2012.
Oh, 2013 is when it was posted to Steam.
Yeah, no, it got a Steam release way after.
Later after. Okay. Okay, so if I actually didn't realize that. I thought it had something to do with the larger publisher, but that makes sense if it didn't fall through. I'll give you that one. So one of my two of mine are actually from the same company. I've had these guys in different lists we've done before. You again, as Charles said, you'll kind of pick out a trend here. I have a couple favorite studios, and this is one of them. But that game company, they made a game called Journey, and Journey released, I think, about 2 years ago now. Actually, it's been, and Journey was this I'm trying to find a video for it. Journey was a game where
3 years ago.
Has it been that long now? Wow. Essentially, you're this person thing with a nice big robe, traveling through the desert to find a goal. You don't know what it is, and that's the thing about the game. There's no instructions. You just figure it out as you go, and there is a multiplayer side to it as well too. That once again has no instructions. Just someone will kind of pop into your world, and you'll try to accomplish this goal together. You'll go along this journey together. And I think what they're trying to do with this no instruction kind of thing, hence the name Journey, is you create your own journey along the way. And the communication system is weird. Like, you can make yourself glow, and I haven't played it in a bit, but glow and try to communicate that way. But you have to create your own kind of system of communicating with this other person that you've randomly been matched up with. And you don't get told their name, and you get your username in the credits once you beat it with them. But there have been times where I've been playing along with someone, and they just drop out, they're gone, and it was actually really sad for me because I almost started to grow connection to this other player that I had no name to, because we're traveling, trying to accomplish this one thing together for so long, and then all of a sudden they're gone. But everything about it is just beautiful. The scenes and just the art style it used to was was absolutely amazing. But it was cool too when you do actually beat it at the end. It's very up to yourself to interpret what it means. Have either of you two played Journey at all? No?
Well, a little bit at a friend's house. I know what it is, and I know why people like it, but I have nothing really to say on it.
Yeah, I think you should finish through it and play it to the end. Like it's great just to see different people's interpretations of what kind of the ending meant, what this journey meant to different people. That's why it's exactly that. It's a journey, and to every single person, the journey can be different. Even though it's essentially the same, it's the next depth of what makes a journey. You know, it's not getting to the final point. It's what happened along the way. So I think that's why it's my number 3. It's just that game company's always been great at challenging what you can do with a game and what maybe defines certain words along the sense of journey. So that's my number 3 is Journey. Charles, looks like Eric's still not here. I wonder if we're going to get him back. But Charles, if you want to give us your number 2 then, to go through the list. And chat, give us some real indie games. I want to see what you guys like playing if you play them. But Charles, give us your number 2 while they pick some real games.
Number 2 is another game that I haven't played in quite a while. Actually, much longer, and that's Magicka.
Magicka,
yeah. The wizard game. Oh boy, that was a lot of fun when I played it, but it's really hard to play alone, and I've never actually beaten that game. Sadly.
Well, that's the thing.
The final boss is too hard for one person to fight.
There's friendly fire, isn't it? The more people you have, the harder it gets because of that. So.
And there's also that, so people have to actually carefully plot and plan, but it's really hard to micro defensive spells and offensive spells and getting all of your combinations done. So it just becomes really difficult.
Mm-hmm. Now, so people don't know the game. Basically, what you did, you had a bunch of different spells that you could combine together. How many spells could you combine together?
I think it was upwards of 4 or 5.
I was thinking 4.
Maximum 5, depending on the order that you add them all together.
I just know my brother was playing this game a lot, and I just watched him. I never actually really. I tried playing it myself once, and he was too far in. It was too hard for me at that point. I didn't know the game or the mechanics, but so it's a top-down game where you can you just choose the spells and you create your own combinations of spells to create more powerful spells or things that do different things. And it was four-player multiplayer.
4-player.
Yeah, so different people could work together to do different spells and play through together. But yeah, that's a good choice. That was a good game. It's beautiful too. Like it's very well made. Like it looks great as well. But Magicka, that's a good choice. Magicka. Adam, number 2.
Right. Well, number 2 has to go to the most ambitious indie game of all time. No, it's not Minecraft. Fuck off. And that would be Dwarf Fortress, which again is probably the only reason you have Minecraft, and that's because Dwarf Fortress is the most ambitious game ever, with the most emergent behavior of any video game ever. And it is, I still don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I just hit keys, watch my little dwarfs die horrible deaths, and watch a couple of other dwarfs weave tapestries telling their tales before their cats overrun their room and they kill themselves because they're unhappy over the lack of new beer and shit like that. It's amazing. It's fucking amazing.
So it's a lot of people praised GTA for its emergent gameplay.
GTA has nothing. GTA is not even a fingernail on Dwarf Fort.
Yeah. And I've never actually gotten into it myself. I think a lot of what kind of kept me away from it was just its UI.
Well, of course.
It looks like you're playing in DOS.
The look is going to be like that, right? The UI is bad apart from the actual look of it and style. Like, you could call the DOS and text look a style, for instance.
Okay.
The actual part where the UI is bad or unintuitive is actually separate from that, and it's like where things are positioned and some of the keyboard shortcuts don't really make contextual or average gamer sense. Like, they aren't things you would think of. They aren't immediately intuitive most of the time. It turns out for a lot of them they do make sense within the context of the greater game, but if you're new to the game, they're certainly like they're going to stop you from having fun. You have to have a guide for sure. Another thing is the game's actually like if you play the game for any length of time, your world will be so fucking complex that your processor will cry, right?
There's just too much going on.
There's too much going on, and the world gen step itself is like massive. It's amazing. Like there's been several companies who have tried to just imitate that in a much lower extent and put a good UI on it. And I don't know if they've succeeded, but like that, even with the tile set, it's unintuitive and hard to play. But if you spent a couple $100 million putting a good face on Dwarf Fort, it would be the best game of all time.
That's true. I can see if it being more accessible again on the UI side of things. I think a lot more people would be attracted to it.
But a lot of it is like Toady the bro made things a certain way because it made sense at the time, or it does make sense. It's just not initially intuitive.
So was this guy's studio?
Well, it's not just
game?
him. It's several people.
Their studio, was it their first game?
No, Toady had made several other small things. I'm sure the other developers have. He's the face on the forums that I always saw the posts from. Fuck it.
Fair enough.
Sorry, I just don't remember. That's not doing a good service to people.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, I actually forgot about this game because I've never played it myself, just because I didn't get it. But now that you've explained it a bit more, and that it's basically just is there an end game?
So the goal, well, there's different modes like survival mode and stuff that they added, but more or less your goal is to build a successful fort and keep it alive, right? The end game is you dying, because that will happen. Your fort will fall eventually to something.
So the end game maybe is like to, I guess you could make your own end games, but
Well,
the
like
end game maybe to
there's always
last
more.
longest.
There's always more world to explore, right? I don't remember. It's been a while since I even bothered playing, but I don't remember if you can reach an end of world or if it just runs another world gen step once you're a certain amount of tiles out. It's been a while. It's a fun game. Bullshit.
So
It's
yeah,
great.
I guess you can kind of, again, because of the emergent gameplay, make your own end games to it. You know, maybe you try to have this many things or try to last this long before you're killed off, right?
Yeah, basically.
Okay, it's interesting. Yeah, Dwarf Fortress, and that only made it to number 2. So I'm excited to hear number 1 in a minute. Then.
Oh, you're not. It's pretty obvious.
All right. Well, Charles. I guess I didn't do my number 2 yet. So we'll jump to my number 2. I'm gonna have to say Towerfall for my number 2. Again, I come from a pretty competitive background. So if I can find an indie game that I can play with my friends and have an amazing time, and a competitive, like anyone can jump in and have fun with it, but it still is a very competitive atmosphere to it. It's amazing. It kind of it's been able to pull in friends that I had a CS player, Tyrish, that hates anything that's not Counter-Strike. It's not. Well, he does play other games, but for the most part, if it's not Counter-Strike, he doesn't want to play it. And he was playing Towerfall with me, and we played for about 6 hours straight, just having the best of time. It's not like we eventually got bored of it either. It's just it was exciting. Every match kept adrenaline pumping through it. Towerfall was originally developed just for the Ouya, so I think there was some people saying that it was actually worth buying an Ouya just to get this game. But eventually, of course, the developer Matt Makes Games decided that he wanted to move it to other platforms, which was a great idea because Towerfall is amazing. I think new expansion actually just came out as well. But Towerfall is an insane amount of fun. It's a 2D shooter. I guess I should pull up a video here for people to see. But it's got that 8-bit kind of look to it. Old school game. But it's great to play alone, but it's even more fun to play with people and against other people. It's got a lot of mechanics to it that I hadn't even noticed until maybe after a couple months of playing it, and you realize just kind of what new tactics to try and a metagame to it as well.
You didn't realize you could wall jump, right?
No, I knew I could wall jump. There's different things like shooting things off walls to make them drop on people's heads that I was unaware of, and that kind of changed what you're looking for in the match, right? And what can be done. I mean, this one doesn't really change anything, but like shooting arrows through fire, set them on fire to kill your enemy. But a lot of different things like that. Again, specifically, not knocking things on people's head that you kind of pick up along the way, and just the attention to detail. If an arrow just skims over someone's head, like they'll take their hat off. It's just the attention to detail this game has as well. But and the amount of variance too. You can go in and change everything to make the game play how you want. And I found a pretty good competitive mode. Super dodging turned on, so you dodge further, and speed boots, so everyone moves a lot faster. And then everything else pretty vanilla from there. But I don't know, it becomes pretty interesting, when there's limited amount of arrows, you're both out of arrows, you're trying to jump on each other's head, and stage position. It's really really interesting and good game. A lot of fun to cover. I actually want to go and play it now, so if someone wants to come home after, I really want to play some Towerfall. But that's my number 2 for sure, just because of the amount of depth and attention to detail of it, and how it can connect a competitive person to a casual player, and everyone have the same amount of fun with it.
Yeah, so, it's very simple.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what makes it almost so complex. It's just because they weren't trying to overdo anything with it.
Yeah, you're seeing a lot of games come up with the fast local multiplayer, like quick rounds, quick lives, quick deaths, simple action. You see a lot of games in that style now, like just over the past 2 years or so.
Mm-hmm. And I enjoy it. I like it because it's good for, especially for an indie game. It's like a lot of times if I'm sitting down and playing an indie game, and it's going to take a lot of depth to it, a lot of time to put into it. I have a bunch of other titles I want to be playing. So something to buy for $5, I want just to be, for me again, change for everyone. Just something I can jump into quick, have fun with it, and get out and go on with my day. It's kind of like something to play in between playing things. Obviously, there's other indie games that they're still great and take a lot of time to them, but for me, that's a lot with indie games I like, and this one does it great. But please, someone come over and play. I wish I had an online multiplayer to it as well too. That would be great. Because I tried the PlayStation 4 Remote Connect, and it a little too much lag or something like that. So that's my number 2. That means we move on to Charles to give us our number 1, our number 1. Charles, what is our number 1 favorite indie game?
I have no idea, but my number 1 favorite indie game is Transistor. So
I should have seen that coming.
Yeah, everyone should have seen that coming from a million miles away. I won't shut up about this game when people are like, "Oh, what kind of game should I get?" You should buy this game because it's really good. It's really nice artwork, really good world building, amazing music, and really solid gameplay that can be bordering on challenging depending on how, incompetent you are and how many times it takes you to actually get through some of the actual encounters that they have lined up. But it was a really enjoyable game. It had a really decent story if you wanted to pay attention to that, or you could just skip over it and ignore what's going on, like some Let's Players did. But it was fun for me. There's quite a bit of lore in it. It's really solid game, and that was by Supergiant Games. That was the first one that they didn't actually use a publisher. That's why I couldn't use Bastion. Because Bastion was published by Warner Brother Games, I think.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things too that you've mentioned before, and it's actually funny when I typed Transistor to find some gameplay, the first thing that came up was Transistor soundtrack,
Yep.
and I've heard you rave about that before as well too.
Yeah. The soundtrack is just so great. Darren Korb is a genius.
Sorry, who was it that did the soundtrack?
Darren Korb, he's the main composer / only composer.
And has he worked on anything else?
He worked on Bastion as well. He was the composer for Bastion.
Oh, okay, so just the two. He's with Supergiant then.
Oh yeah, I think
okay.
so.
I wasn't sure if maybe they pulled someone out from somewhere else or contract him out for it. But yeah, no. It's a top-down kind of.
ISO. It's isometric.
Mm-hmm. So the idea is it's almost what is it? You have spells or is it melee? I'm just trying to watch some gameplay. I haven't played.
It is. You have abilities that you can sort of plug into your sort of ability bar and use, and each of the abilities has their own advantages and they interact with each other in certain ways. And you have, I think, upwards of 16 abilities that you can unlock. And you can put them into passive slots or augment slots for particular active items, and they just change the way that everything interacts. So there's all sorts of different combinations that you can actually program your transistor to do.
Now it looks real time, but I've seen in this gameplay
It's both.
some turn based. Some guy he'd undo his last moves.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
But yeah, it's both turn-based and real-time. If you use a turn, that's the turn-based part. You have a certain number of actions that you can perform, filling up your bar. If you use all of those actions, you put your active abilities on cooldown.
Okay, that makes sense.
So your active abilities are on cooldown outside of turn, so you have to run around mostly defenseless, like he's doing right now.
Kind of reminds me of
Wait till the bar recharges.
Back in the day, I used to play this a Lego game. Like it was in real time Lego. You'd roll dice, you'd get that many actions to use, and that included moving though. But you could.
Oh, it includes moving too.
Oh, it does. Okay.
Moving takes up part of the turn as well.
Okay.
But while you're in turn, you're pretty much invulnerable.
Okay, so that's very much like the Lego game I used to play in real life. That's funny. It sounds interesting, actually. I never actually knew what the game was about. I just heard you rave about it. Just didn't do research on it. Cool.
Oh yeah, it's pretty interesting.
So that's your number one, Transistor. To end off your favorite indie games, we'll see if there's any runner-ups that we have after, because I know I have a bunch. But Adam, if you want to give us your number one favorite indie game. We'd like to
runner-ups. No, this is a top three.
All right. No
runner-ups. So I'm just gonna go with what is kind of like the Atom, ATOM, of indie games at this point, or at least they've diverged from it finally, but it took a while. And that would be Cave Story, because I downloaded that and applied an English patch back in like 2007, and it was like fucking great. Solid 2D platformer, solid progression, solid fucking art, music, story, I guess, because it didn't need one.
So
good secrets, good gameplay, etc., and then copied to Oblivion and ported into Oblivion and so on.
So I'm just trying to watch some gameplay here. So what?
If you compare it to the indie scene over the past like 8 years, then it's going to seem super unoriginal, because it was basically a love letter to 90s games by a Japanese dev working his own time and sort of just working off the skills and the assets he had. He didn't have anything, so he had to go with simple art.
Yeah.
And so, because of its popularity, a fuck ton of games are made very similarly. So it seems unoriginal at this point.
No, true. It does seem like still an interesting game, just from what I'm seeing. But when was this released?
Oh fuck! I don't know. Original Japanese release. I'll just fact check that right now. December 20th, 2004.
2004, so a while ago. Yeah, and just because of the indie scene exploding in the past, well, that amount of time, that makes sense. It's almost like for me, I don't like the Beatles because when I hear them, it sounds like everything I've already heard. But people say a lot of people were inspired by them, and that's why I've heard those sounds before.
Well, you're either a Beatle or a Rolling Stone.
That's true. Rolling Stones for life. But yeah, no, this does look interesting. For some reason, when you said Cave Story, I was thinking Maple Story, but definitely very different, very different games.
Very different.
Oh, Maple Story, that's the best indie game right there. RuneScape. But yeah, no, that looks good. I actually kind of want to play this. It looks interesting. And did you say there was no real story to it, or it's just not very?
Well, there's a story, but it's not really germane to the gameplay. Like, story is now, just play the game.
All right.
Spend 3 hours to beat it.
Pretty short game.
Well, yeah, if you're good at platformers.
I've been meaning to pick up Cave Story at some point.
It's got like 1 billion ports, and the original free download still works just fine. 3DS port's god awful.
Is there? Is it on the store? Like,
Yes.
I didn't know if it was like some sort of just an image you could put like on an AR or something. Okay, so Cave Story. Cave Story is your number one pick. That comes from all the way from
Because
Japan.
it just got it right.
It does look like it's done pretty well. The gameplay looks pretty fun as well too. Like it looks pretty fluid, so that's important. Okay, so that's your number one. My number one, I guess we're gonna jump to, and it doesn't look like anyone's decided to pick. Acknowledgements. Pick something besides Blizzard games. My number one, I'm gonna have to go back to that game company, and for now I pick Flower. And Flower was the first. Well, they had Flow before that, but Flower was the first one that actually made me realize that you could jump outside the traditional box of making games and what to expect out of a game and still have it be enjoyable. Flower basically, as the name implies, you are a petal. You have to go around and collect petals to get to make everything green and get to the next area. And the whole goal, I guess, was to make the whole world colorful and vibrant again. As you go through it, levels start off pretty gray and dull. You start in like an apartment, and that's your level selector. And the whole game is through motion controls as well too. I wasn't sure if there's a way to use non-motion controls, but I think it's really great with the motion controls. It's done well. But it's so serene. It actually almost felt like the game was made more with emotion than it was. That was the main mechanic of the gameplay was emotion. And just getting to some of these points at the end, like the level I'm showing now, getting right to the end of the level was just kind of like sometimes I would just sit there at the end of the level and just look at it for a bit, and it kind of sparked my imagination a lot. Maybe I could be at this place, and what adventures would I go on if I was in this area, and it kind of made you look back at the own real world and realize how gray and gross and unfun it was to a degree, and it kind of inspired me to start doing things to change that, at least in my own life. So I think just the game as a just an inspirational, motivational, and emotional experience it just changed the way I kind of viewed games, and what they can be and what they can do for someone. So that's my number one pick because of that. It just kind of made me experience a game in a new way. If you haven't played it, you need to play it. It is one of the most relaxing things you'll experience doing in your life is playing this game. Yeah, so that's my number one pick. And to kind of just reiterate over people's lists, Charles, you had your number 3, Waking Mars. Number 2 was Magica, and your first pick was, of course, Transistor. And Adam, I'm forgetting it says Skullgirls for your number 3. Your number 2 is Dwarf Fortress, and number 1 was Cave Story coming over from Japan there. And my list, we start off with Journey. Next up was Towerfall, and as you see now in the video, we finished off with Flower for my top 3. And unfortunately, Eric isn't here for us to what his games are. I'm actually interested to see what his are, because I'm not sure how much into indie games he is. It'd be interesting to see what his picks are.
Wait, he's a sports writer, right? What sport does he write for?
Well, he's a comedy sports writer, so he writes jokes, comedy on sports, any sports, and then people will pay him for his jokes.
In other words, I'm going to say NHL 2004, NBA 2004, and Madden 2004.
Were those indie games?
Oh.
And that, well, I feel like that's the response we'd get from him as well too.
Shit.
And then we'll ask him, "Are those indie games?" Oh. But yeah, pretty much. I feel like he's played some in there. Just he's big into old school games as well too. So I feel like Cave Story is something he'd actually enjoy too, just by looking at it.
Like, if you want to get super technical, you could be like Doom and stuff like that. I was just trying to have a cutoff point of like after 2000 and stuff.
Yeah. I guess you could. I was gonna say, I guess you could consider a lot of games indie games if they didn't get their publishing until after. Like, could Portal be considered an indie game?
No, because Portal was done basically from the ground up at Valve.
I guess.
Our Spectacular Drop was, and the gameplay is quite similar, but Portal as a product was entirely Valve.
Okay, fair enough.
Because they were bought and then thus Valve.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, so let us know. Again, this one's been archived. I'm gonna upload this to YouTube. Let us know what your favorite indie games are. I want to see if there's any out there that I can play that I'd be interested in. Again,
I will promptly make fun of your choices, all of you.
He's gonna sit.
I'll do it. I'll take the time.
He's gonna sit in the YouTube, like he's gonna check it daily. Check the YouTube channel daily, looking for comments and see who's been commenting and make fun of them. I could see you doing that too.
I can see him doing that for like 3 or 4 days,
and then come back to it a few days later or months later and start making fun of more people. But yeah, so those. Let us know what your top 3 favorite indie games were. And I guess with that, because Eric didn't make it back, we're gonna sign off, finish it off here, and we'll see you next week. So we do this every week, 7 p.m. EST. I got some ideas from other shows, so hopefully you're gonna see us throughout the week on other days too, different faces, or each of us getting on and doing some content, because we want to start putting a lot more content out there. So make sure you follow and. So you don't miss any of the content that we're doing throughout the week. But yeah, if you do want to just see the podcast, Gamers Roundtable podcast, we're going to be doing this every Monday at 7 p.m. EST. So make sure you join up with us. But we'll say goodbye to everyone that joined us today. Mr. President, thank you for coming out.
Always remember, I know where you sleep.
He's got your GPS, bro. And Charles, thanks for joining us.
Hey, no problem. Pleasure being here.
And Mr. Mysterious Dark Eric, don't do it. I will punch you. Eric, thanks for joining us for the pre-show. We appreciate that. And myself, I'm LeafX, host of the show here. And again, hopefully we get to some more content out to you soon. But every Monday, 7 p.m. EST, make sure you join us. Hit that follow button so you don't miss it when we go live. And as always, keep gaming hard.